Welcome to Beyond the Next Chapter. I'm your host, Whitney Clark, and I think one of the biggest questions I get from many of you listeners and my fellow readers is, what should I read next? What are some good book recommendations? So this episode is focused on read-alikes. We're going to give you some book recommendations based on really popular books that you might have already read and loved. So joining us today are our friends from the Maricopa County Library District. We have Marissa Daley, a librarian and manager of the Fountain Hills Library, and Paige Cordner, a librarian at the Queen Creek Library. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
So let's just start a little bit about the both of you. How long have you been with the Library District? How long have you really loved reading?
Oh,
I'll let you go first.
So I've been with the Library District for 3 years. I've been in Gilbert and now Fountain Hills for almost the duration of my time. I've been a librarian for 6 years. And yeah, I mean, I've always loved reading. I took a big break from fun reading when I was in college. But now, you know, being back in libraries, it's second nature. And I have 3 kids, so I read a lot.
I've been with the district. Actually, I've been with Queen Creek Library my entire time with them, and I started as an LA and then moved into my current position, and I've been in my current position for about 4 years. I actually got hired as a librarian right when COVID happened, and they said, "You're hired," and then COVID happened, and then I'm just like, do I still have a job? Am I coming back as a librarian, please? Anyway, but sorry, side story. I have loved reading. I had a 3rd grade teacher that she would read to us after lunch every day, and that really got me into reading on my own, and I would, do it every night and bug my sisters with the hall light on and stuff like that. But it's just progressed into a wonderful career.
I love it. I do think that some people sort of fall out of love with reading when they're in college and high school. That was certainly the case with me, because you have to read some of these books and you're like, this is kind of a bore. I don't want to read these, but I'm glad you guys are here because so many more people are reading for fun these days. At least that's what it feels like to me. So we have some really popular books we're going to talk about and give people recommendations. So first, tell me what a read-alike is, because I heard that librarians really like read-alikes. So how would you define a read-alike?
You go.
Yeah, okay. The way that I see it is that, and this is the approach that I took with these books, is kind of taking aspects that you enjoyed from a book and applying it to another book. So I don't see it as the same genre. I mean, usually the genres coincide, but I more of see it, what did you like from the book? I liked the prose. I liked the setting, something along those aspects, and that's then where I gear people towards other books that they can then enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and similarly, you have an author and you really enjoyed a book, well, try something else by that author. Or maybe there's other authors that write similarly. So that's always an easy way to recommend things, Emily Henry. I read one, then I read another, and then another. So, yeah.
We could probably do a whole podcast about Emily Henry books.
Yes.
I think.
They're so cute.
Yeah, they're so cute. And I feel like they're written for, the girlies who already like libraries and they like books. And there's, a lot of, reading themes in there, which I really enjoy. And we're going to talk about one of her books in just a moment. But let's start with the first book and talk about the read-alikes, The Fourth Wing, which... I mean, this book has been everywhere for years, I feel like.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's a great read to physical read, but then we also have digital resources where you can listen to it, and that's fantastic. We actually have graphic audio version through Hoopla, which is one of our digital library resources. It's great. It's action, it's romance, it's fantasy, which we talked about. I've never really read fantasy before, but I really enjoyed it. There are some scenes where you're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? And, it's really neat to get that kind of feeling out of reading a book, that excitement. So I'm rereading it, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Have you read the second one yet?
Yes,
Okay.
and the 3rd one's out in January.
Oh my gosh, is it?
Yes.
I read the first one and I read it on my Kindle, which I liked because it can be kind of daunting thinking about reading that many pages. I grew up loving Harry Potter. I loved reading Harry Potter as a kid. This is not like Harry Potter at all, so I don't want anyone to get any wrong ideas.
That's not a read-alike.
There's very adult themes,
Yes.
but it gave me those sort of vibes of the magic, okay, I think this could potentially be a real thing that could happen. At least that's what I sort of gathered from it. So if someone read The Fourth Wing, they loved it, what are some other books you would also recommend?
So we kind of talked about this too, but A Court of Thorn and Roses, a lot of people either start with Fourth Wing and go there, or start with A Court of Thorn and Roses and go to Fourth Wing. So it's a really, easy switch. Either you like it or you don't. My recommendation is get through the first one. It gets better. But so that's a recommendation. I'm finishing also another Moss series, Sarah J. Maas, Throne of Glass. And it is fantastic. It is too many books. It is too long, but I have not stopped. So I think that says a lot. But then, kind of to pair with another book that we'll talk about is an author named Allie Hazelwood, and she does a few romance books. And so she delved into the fantasy genre a little bit and wrote a book called Bride, which I thought was okay, it was interesting. And she's a STEM romance author, so it's kind of, it's really unique. But those were really good reads too.
I think Love Theoretically is one of her books.
Yes,
I haven't read that one yet. Was it good?
It is so cute. Yes, I just finished that last night. So.
I do feel that she is really big on BookTok, and I don't know how much you guys are on TikTok and social media, but BookTok I feel like is huge when it comes to romance books and fantasy. I feel like I find out a lot about these authors, like Allie Hazelwood, from social media for sure.
Yeah.
The funny thing is, even if we're not on it, as librarians, we always know what the BookTok books are just because we're constantly asked about them. And that when Colleen Hoover blew up, it was so funny to see because Colleen Hoover has been on the shelves for years and years and years. And then all of a sudden you couldn't get a single book from her. And it's an amazing thing.
Yeah.
And it's a good tool for people. So I always recommend, what are you liking? Which TikTok books are you liking around the moment?
But much like recommendations, you're going to get thrown some things on social media. You're like, oh, that was terrible.
You just got to take it in stride and be like, it wasn't for me. That's okay.
Yeah, that was like a Court of Thorns and Roses. I didn't like hate it, but I didn't feel like, oh my gosh, I need to read every single book.
Yeah.
But it seems like Romantasy is having like a moment, and it's almost just like a new. I hadn't heard of Romantasy until like probably about a year ago.
Also, I highly recommend, if you don't like a book, you don't have to finish it. There's no guilt. Like, there's no pressure.
Not enough time in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I like to do harm to myself. I try so bad. So I'm one of those people who will finish. But I highly recommend.
Words for others.
Yeah. Because, life is too short. If you don't want to finish a book, you don't like it, don't read it.
I luckily learned that in high school. And it was so freeing because I can't remember the book. I've blocked it out of my memory, thank goodness. But I was that type of person where I'm just like, I'm going to finish it. I'm going to finish it. I'm going to finish it. And somewhere in high school, I just said, I definitely can't finish this. I hate it. And since then, I'm just like, it's freeing. I mean, obviously, I give it a good chance. But yeah.
At what point, like, how many pages in do you have to be like, okay, time's up. I'm throwing in the towel.
Okay. I have DNF'd at like the second chapter only like once, but that was a tone issue. So when you're not vibing with the author's tone, so that then I know right away. I'm like, okay, I can't vibe with this. If it's a character issue, I'll give it probably about a third of the book before I say I'm just not engaged. I'm not picking it up or wanting to pick it up.
Okay.
I don't know. I just try. I like torture, I guess. I don't know.
Too.
Yeah. And I'll always come back to ones that I didn't finish and, and give them another shot because some books I probably wouldn't have enjoyed at certain times in my life and then I come to enjoy them. So
It's true.
I don't know.
I love it.
Okay.
Go with her advice. Yeah. That's good. You're different people at different points in your life. Yeah.
And then another book that is still really popular, I want to say this came out 2 years ago, is I'm Glad My Mom Died by Jeanette McCurdy. This was a memoir. This is one I actually listened to on audiobook because she narrated it herself, and I love listening to authors narrate the books themselves. What else would people like if they listened to this, if they read this? What are some other read-alikes for this one?
So I listened to it on audiobook as well, and I thought the emotion that she gave to the book added so much more weight to it, and is probably why people related to it so much. I have a few recommendations. One being anything by Carrie Fisher. Funny enough, I recommend these as audiobooks as well because I think the majority of them, when you're doing that celebrity bio, it is nice to get their tone of voice and what they actually mean and their sense of what they're trying to say a little bit more. So anything by Carrie Fisher, but especially Wishful Drinking was my main one, and I recommend it just because it has this very same dry sense of humor that Jeanette McCurdy adds into her books. The other one that I had, and this is I think a more recent one, is Mean Baby by Selma Blair.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of along the lines of dealing with a lot of addiction, overcoming hardships, and I think that they're very much in line. And I think Selma Blair is just a wonderful human being, and so maybe that's also why I'm selfishly recommending it. And then my last recommendation is something that maybe you read to make yourself feel better after reading I'm Glad My Mom Died.
Yeah.
Or I'm Glad My Mom's Dead.
Yeah.
And that is As You Wish. I'm going to read the whole title, but As You Wish, Inconceivable Tales from the Making of the Princess Bride, and that's by Carrie Elwes.
Oh.
And again, I listened to the audiobook, and it's so nice because it's just kind of stories from the set. So you get Carrie Elwes, which is his book, but then you also have Robin Wright in there, and she actually comes in for the audiobook,
God,
and Rob
so cool.
Reiner. And yeah, it's just, I think if I'm Glad My Mom's Dead is the example of Hollywood going wrong, or I can always get this title wrong.
that's
Sorry.
okay.
I'm Glad My Mom Died. It's such a striking title. You'd think I wouldn't be able to forget it. I'm Glad My Mom Died. So I think that if that's the example of Hollywood going wrong, I think that As You Wish is kind of the example of Hollywood getting it right.
Okay. Yeah.
And it just makes you smile. So,
Yeah.
and that's why I recommend it.
And I think a lot of people grew up seeing Jeanette McCurdy on all of these Nickelodeon shows and thinking she was, so funny and all these things. And a lot of people were taken aback and really surprised about what she went through. And it really makes a difference hearing them read by the author, as we mentioned. I don't know if you guys ever listened to Matthew McConaughey's book as well. I think it's called Green Lights.
Yeah.
It was amazing because he's incredible. Like, he voiced it. It was so good. I would say, like, that's also positive. That's a positive one as well, because it's very much about like finding green lights in life, like something good that happened to him, like, hey, that was a green light. Getting a role in a movie, that was a green light. So I really loved that too. And I just I have a hard time with audiobooks. Do you guys, are you kind of mix and match? Like, is it 50-50 on whether you read a book or listen to it?
Depends on if I have time.
Yeah.
If I'm struggling for time, I'll throw on an audiobook, but they're so dependent on a number of different factors.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, I listened to, I can't remember, actually, I lost my train of thought.
That's okay. There's just so many titles to keep in your head, obviously.
I do both. I am reading a book and then I'm listening to a book, so it's bad. But I have a commute to work, so for me it's really nice because that's how I do it. And also, that commute is child-free, so I get to do what I want and listen to what I want. So it's really nice.
And this is sort of a controversial topic. I see a lot of people talking about this on social media as well. When you listen to an audiobook, do you count that as a book in your Goodreads account?
Oh,
like it's a book that you
100%.
read?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think you'd find a librarian that didn't say audiobooks or not books.
If you do, shame.
Or is audiobooks.
Shame. Yeah, it is absolutely the same.
Okay.
Yeah, you're digesting that content. You're absorbing it. You're reading. It's the same thing.
Do you guys prefer Goodreads or Storygraph, or are you on Goodreads for the most part?
Goodreads.
Goodreads,
Yeah,
yeah.
Goodreads.
I've heard about Storygraph, and I have downloaded it on my phone, but I feel like I don't have the bandwidth for like another app and like starting over. But I think you can download your Goodreads stuff. But anyways, I love Goodreads. I mean, it's just such a good place to save books you want, see what other people are doing. I'm only friends with like 10 people on there. But shout out to
I didn't know
those
you could have friends.
yes.
I just found out like last week.
Yeah. So we can be friends. I'll be friends, you guys. So let's talk about the next one. And this is Funny Story by Emily Henry. I want to say she has 5 books out now, and Funny Story is the most recent one. And we talked about how we love Emily Henry. Like, her books are so just like warm and fuzzy. And my friend used an analogy saying she's like, I just felt like I was kicking my feet reading this book, because it's so sweet. So why do you think her books are resonating with so many readers, particularly like millennial women in their 30s?
Honestly, what gets me about her is the dialogue between characters, and especially when reading Funny Story, you're like, oh my gosh, this is so cute. They're inside jokes. Like, I don't know what it is, but it's so realistic, you know? You can imagine having these dialogues. It's so you can just connect to it so easy. It is like kick your feet. It's so cute.
And this one was great because she was a librarian, and her whole the whole mission of the book was like the readathon.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys ever do like readathons, or you know what I mean? Like, have you done that challenge where you like read for 24 hours with a friend or
Sounds
something?
terrible.
Like that?
I don't want to stay up for 24 hours.
It would be tough.
No. I have to say though, having somebody write about your career, I feel like so many people get it wrong because they don't do it. But I didn't find anything about the story that was like, oh, we don't do that. It was really cute, and it was just enough that like it kind of grasped librarianship. It was cute.
I love it. So if people liked Funny Story or any Emily Henry books, what else would you recommend?
So she has another book. It's called Book Lovers. We talked about like the connection between books and Emily Henry. So cute. Love Theoretically. Allie Hazelwood was super. It was really adorable. I can't think I had a third one, but now my brain's just focused on Emily Henry because it was so cute.
I have that one here. Or Happy Place.
Have you read it?
Happy
Yes,
Place,
I read that one, and that was the one that came out last summer.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a book club discussion about this, and I think it really led to a lot of deeper questions for a lot of the women in our group about like, change and friendships changing and your life when you're in your 20s and 30s, and like how things just are so different as people get married and start families, and you're in these different places. So I do think there was, especially that book, I felt like I related it to probably the most.
Really?
Yeah.
I finished her The People We Meet on Vacation, and I have to say it's so cute because all these romance novels, they start in such like comedically bad ways. Like, Funny Story is two people get broken up with and then they live together. And you're like, in what world would this happen?
Yeah.
But it works.
Yeah.
And so The People We Meet on Vacation, a woman who travels for work and she invites her best friend with her every time. And you're like, one thing leads to another and they realize they like each other.
Mm-hmm.
She reminds me of, it's like she reminds me of a Nancy Myers romantic comedy.
Totally.
I mean,
totally.
You look at the book and you're just like, this is reminds me of The Holiday, or this reminds me of, well, now I'm trying to think of a Nancy Myers film.
Like Something's Gotta Give.
Something's Gotta Give.
I think it's complicated.
You've Got Mail. I love You've Got Mail.
Yeah.
And you just take a little bit of a weirder premise, but you're just like, no, it works, and it's the dialogue and it's the real life, real life scenarios that make it.
And it's modernized, in Funny Story. They're going to like these niche, indie restaurants and all these fun things that you're like, you can just be there, you can see it.
And I think one thing I really love, and you mentioned Colleen Hoover earlier, and I feel like Colleen Hoover gets a lot of criticism for. Maybe her books aren't like literary masterpieces. However, her books are extremely popular and they're getting people to read that have not picked up a book in years. And there's, I know I keep bringing up like TikTok and things online, but there's a lot of like keyboard warriors that are so not nice, quite frankly, about like people who enjoy those books and enjoy reading those books. But I come from a place of like, hey, if it gets you to pick up a book, that's great. And like I read Colleen Hoover's books years ago, and that is one of the things that got me really back into reading again as an adult.
Yeah. There's always been this war between what's popular fiction and what people consider good fiction. And I find the argument really weird because I'm just like, it doesn't matter, because it's not about a group of people. It's about an individual people and what works for them. And the same thing, this is going to get old, but the same thing it was with Twilight. I remember being in middle school and elementary school, and all of a sudden all my friends that weren't reading before were picking up books because of Twilight. And it just became a thing where it's like you get to a size and then people are like, oh, this isn't good literature though. And I'm just like, I don't need the distinction, but thank you.
Yeah. I agree. I think that like anything that's going to get people interested in reading, or I want to say like Colleen Hoover books were all like 3 of her books were like the top 5 checked out books in Maricopa County or something last year. So anything to get people interested in reading, and I think Emily Henry kind of falls in that category of being like very appealing to younger women, really women of all ages, and something that's like sort of easy to digest as well.
If it makes you happy, who cares what anybody else thinks? Yeah. Truly. And, I had a discussion with a girlfriend of mine. I was like, oh, you should read the Sarah J. Maas series. I was like, It's kind of like Twilight when you've grown up, and she's like, "Listen, we did not read Stephanie Meyer for the literary." No.
There's something about there was something about those books, man. You got through them quickly.
So,
well, I did.
But truly, if it makes you happy, who cares what anybody else thinks? Just read what you want.
I feel like I missed out because I, for some reason, didn't read Twilight. Like, I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't remember what I was doing in life, why I didn't read it. I mean, like, I loved Harry Potter. Like, I got really, really into those books, like, my whole childhood to, like, when the last book came out when I was an adult. I'm going to have to maybe go read Twilight.
You should read Throne of Glass if you liked Harry Potter. It's another series.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a lot.
I did. And I think that was, like, a lot of young people's, like, first book that they enjoyed that they didn't have to, like, read in school. It was like, oh, this is fun to read, you know? So.
On Twilight, I say give it a chance. It's maybe best experienced as a young, youthful teenager, but
the main
you never
character
know.
in Love Theoretically, her favorite movie is Twilight. So it's just like, oh my gosh, we can't get away from it.
I'm never going to claim that it's the best book ever.
You don't
I did
read
at
it
one
for
point claim that it was my favorite book ever.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's candy. It's candy, and then every once in a while you find another piece where it's, I don't know, it's steak. What's a fancy food?
Okay, like filet mignon.
Yeah,
okay,
Caviar.
Okay, that makes sense. I like that analogy.
Sorry, my taste buds are pretty cheap.
I think no matter what it is, like no matter what kind of book it is, like getting involved in reading, I think is great because it might lead to something else. Yeah. And I will say another author that a lot of people love, who's one of my favorite authors, and another book we'll talk about is The Women by Kristin Hannah. The Women came out earlier this year. I'm pretty sure it's like the best-selling book. It's been the best-selling book like this entire year. Historical fiction, takes place during the Vietnam War and just after as well. How popular has this book been at the library?
Every time I saw a hold for it, I was like, oh, someone's getting lucky. You know? I was like, they're moving on the list.
Yeah.
Well, and I felt bad because I had to cut the line to get it for the podcast because I'm just like, I guess I'll just have to.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for all the like hundreds of people that are waiting for it. But I read through it pretty quickly. Have you read it yourself?
Yeah, I read it at the beginning of the year, and I loved it because it was, I feel like a lot of historical fiction is my favorite genre, but I feel like a lot of it is about World War II, and I never read anything that took place during Vietnam, so I felt like I learned a lot about the Vietnam War and what it was like, and I was constantly reading it and then looking things up to see like how accurate it was, and I actually interviewed her. Sorry, shameless plug alert, but I did interview her on my podcast, and she did talk about it, so that was really interesting, the research that kind of goes into those types of things. But I feel like everyone that I know loved this book, and thankfully there's a lot of other really great sort of not books just like it, but other historical fiction. A lot of her other books are wonderful that I think people would love too.
I mean, the number one read like for Kristin Hannah is Kristin Hannah. Yeah. She's amazing, and I agree with you. When I was reading the book, the thing that struck me, my apologies. The thing that struck me was kind of similar to you. You don't get this setting a lot in historical fiction. We love to talk about World War II. We love to talk about World War I a little bit more. But even within her book itself, she says it's the war that we don't want to talk about. And I think that it's really, really to her credit that she brought these issues to life and dealt with them from a unique perspective, being the woman's perspective. And I think that's why I think my first recommend or read-alike that I wanted to push was The Island of Sea Woman by Lisa C.
Okay.
And it's a different conflict. It's Korea War, which it was maybe what drew me to it. Actually, I think it's a range. It's a range of through time, but Korea War was the one that I remember more vividly. And just another conflict that we don't really talk about as much, but it's about a group of women that live in an island off of Japan, and they're dealt with all these conflict throughout the ages. So I wanted to keep the women's perspective in times of war and conflict, and how they stay strong and how they deal with just a kind of a horrible, horrible situation. And that was what I wanted to push in that historical fiction genre, probably the most similar to Kristin Hannah, if you're wanting to stay in the same genre. My other recommendation is actually a classic. It's Slaughterhouse-Five.
Oh, okay.
I love that I saw that on your list.
Yes, I have my list here. Sorry.
I love it. I love it.
Slaughterhouse-Five, and that's more of just kind of the PTSD side of it. Obviously, it's not the women's perspective, but it is a male perspective within World War II. And I wanted it to be a book that Frankie herself would have read at the time, and probably would have opened her eyes to what's going on in the country, and that kind of disillusionment that happened during the Vietnam War. And so I wanted to present that as an option of looking further into conflict and kind of how you don't necessarily trust your government in all things, and dealing with PTSD.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then finally, I just wanted to bring in kind of more of a nonfiction, because you yourself were saying, like, looking up facts, trying to see what was correct and what wasn't. And I was doing the same thing. And I'm just like, there has to be a book about women serving overseas in Vietnam. And like I said, it's the war that we don't want to talk about. There's not that much literature, even in the nonfiction side. But I found one that it's The Girls Next Door, bringing these nonfiction, they always have a subtitle. The Girls Next Door, Bringing the Home Front to the Front Lines by Kara Dixon.
Okay.
And it's a just nonfiction book that highlights women who serve in a number of different capacities. So it talks about the Red Cross, the entertainers that went overseas, and it just highlights a number of different avenues that they could go.
Yeah. That's so fascinating. I loved. Do you like any other Kristin Hannah books? Like, I know that people love a lot of her books. Have you read any of her other books as well?
I've only read a few. I mean, to be honest, historical fiction is not my genre, but
totally.
Kristin Hannah is one that kind of jumps out within the genre, and I have read The Nightingale, and I loved that one. And so that's why when we got the list, I hadn't read The Woman before we were offered offered the podcast, and I'm just like, that's the one I want to read that because of The Nightingale.
Yeah.
But I haven't delved too deeply into her. I just know from other people when they come up and say, I just read a Kristin Hannah, what else can you recommend? I'm just like, Kristin Hannah.
Yeah.
That's easy.
Basically anything that will make you cry, because it's actually hard to, I don't know, how often do you guys like actually cry from books? Like, is it like hard to get you to like really feel emotion like that or laugh out loud?
It has to be a good author, Like, I'm such a nerd. I was reading in bed the other night and like got to this part in Throne of Glass, and I was like, yes. It's like, I just did that, But some of the Emily Henry, Allie Hazelwood, I will chuckle for sure. So, I don't know. Oh, my husband walked in on me reading, and I had this like sad look, and he's like, "What is wrong with you?" And I'm like,
yeah. Just like it's too much. That happens with. Like, I'm pretty sure The Women, The Nightingale, The Great Alone, like a lot of the Kristin Hannah books I've cried. My fiance's like, are you okay? Like, are you you enjoying this? Like, you're doing this for fun? No one's making you do this. But there's just something so powerful about the stories, and they're all like women centered. And to your point, I think some of those recommendations, the nonfiction especially, is so interesting because you don't really hear about what war was like from a woman's perspective very often. So she does that really well, I think, for sure.
Yeah. Trying to see such a huge conflict from a different perspective than a soldier always will give you a lot of insight. Yeah.
What types of books do you guys love? Like, I know as librarians, you're exposed to everything. What are your favorite genres personally?
Everything? Truly. Like, before I started this fantasy, romancy stuff, I mean, I was strictly a nonfiction reader, so I don't know what changed. So I read everything. My brother is in the military, and he's a Black Hawk pilot, and so I read Black Hawk Down. And that was really good, actually. It was really, it was good. It was intense, but regular fiction as well. So I read kind of everything.
Yeah, okay.
And kids books, lots of kids books, which are so great.
How old are your kids?
Oh gosh, okay, so almost 4, almost 8 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they like reading too?
Yes. My daughter, who's going into 3rd grade, I'm telling you, I have the best job in the world because she can read by herself now, and I bring home a stack of books not every night because I can't, but like once a week I bring home a giant stack for her, and when we go to bed she reads and she returns it's so cool. I can't wait till my sons start reading. Yeah.
What about your favorite genres?
So my favorite genre is probably fantasy, sci-fi. I like to have a little bit of a world building aspect to it. Sorry.
That's okay.
I talk with my hands.
That's okay.
I love to have a world building aspect to it. So that I think I kind of go towards those genres more frequently. But similar to you, I kind of do try to read everything. I think I have almost a fear of missing out when it comes to books, when everybody's talking about a book specifically, and I'm just like, oh, well, what is it about this book that they like or something? And so that's usually what I'll pick out, use to pick out what I'm reading next is what's new, what's popular, what's the trend at the moment. I love looking at the subgenre trends, like Court of Sarah J. Maas kind of brought on this whole fairy trend going on, and it's everywhere now. And then I think somebody was saying that it's kind of going towards vampires again. I'm just like, whoa, really? So I just love seeing that. And then it was
you
like,
have to start with Twilight.
I know. We're not telling you anything catching up to do.
And then I think back to, I'm
That's
sorry.
okay. The mics can go through the battle here. That's okay.
Okay, all right, I'll do it even more. No, I think back to like when Cinder brought on the whole fairy tale retelling trend. So I like to do I almost sound nerdy doing it, but I love looking back on trends and saying like, oh, where did it start and where did it transition to something else and the branches off. But that sounds really, really like librarian answer.
But hey, that's what you do. I want to do like a whole separate podcast about like what librarians do, because I'm like so fascinated. I think most people like don't actually know, so we'll have to have you guys back again to talk about that. Have you read any books this year that you've absolutely loved? Like, do you have a favorite book of the year so far?
I'm going to do two.
Okay.
I'm so glad I thought of these. It makes me so happy. One was Demon Copperhead.
Oh, okay.
I listened to that, and it was...
Is it a retelling of David? Oh,
no.
Barbara
Kingsolver.
It sounded so similar to David Copperfield that I'm just like, oh, is it a retelling?
Trust me, it got me so many times because it was one of like the women. It was so popular.
Okay.
I think Barbara Kingsolver won the Pulitzer for that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was so good. Oh my gosh, I listened to it, so I didn't read it. And the narrator was so good. It was like it's not a feel-good story. I mean, it might be, but it's just a real story. You know, it was gritty. It was intense. It was funny. You know, there are times where you're just like, oh my goodness. So that may have been a book I laughed to. And then Bright Young Women.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
Good.
I love that book.
Wasn't it so good?
Yeah, it was so good. Like, I think I gave it 5 stars, and I very rarely give books 5 stars. It was so good.
I give too many.
Yeah, I was like, I do not hold back on the 5 stars.
I'm pretty stingy about it, but that was definitely like an automatic 5. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. And I struggled with that because I listened to it, and there were parts where I didn't really care for the narrator. But it was so good. It was so good. Oh, that hurts. Yeah.
And it was also just frustrating because you're like, these women were cheated, and it was so frustrating. Like, why isn't anybody listening to her? You know, it revolves around Ted Bundy, even though he's not named in the book, but you know that's the serial killer it's based off of. But it was from a woman's perspective, and I think that is also kind of similar to the women, is that it's sort of putting the power back in women's hands and what they went through and what they tried to do, and I loved it.
I always have this conversation with my husband, and he's like, why are women so into true crime? Or, you know, these things. And it's like, because from a woman's perspective, it's not talked about a lot. You know, we... lots of people glorify and do all these things to you know, serial killers, and it was frustrating, but it's also so validating to read about it, even if it's fictionalized. You're just like, there's something so important about reading a woman's perspective. Yeah.
And I have to say, the author, Jessica, I didn't know who she was until last year. I went to the Taylor Swift concert with one of my friends in Las Vegas, and she was there at the concert. And my friend was like, Jessica is going to be at the concert. I saw on her Instagram, and we saw her. We met her.
Oh, wow.
And so I took a picture of my friend and her, and I'm so sad that I didn't take one with her, because then I read her book, Bright Young Woman. I was like, oh my God, it was amazing. So she's also a Swiftie too. So there's that.
Funny. Cute. You're like fangirling and fangirling.
Now I'm like fangirling over my friend who's a fangirl. Yeah.
Oh, I wish you would talk a little bit longer, because honestly, trying to think back on the last year.
You want me to talk about the books I like more?
Well, it's hard. So I am a Brandon Sanderson fan. He has
I've heard good things.
Yes, he has another Stormlight, which is a tomb, coming out this year, which is the book 5. So I've just been rereading Brandon Sanderson all year long. And so it sounds bad, but I'm just like trying to think of a different novel besides that's not written by Brandon Sanderson.
That's okay. I mean, that's someone that I'm not quite familiar with. So it's a series. It's like this is the 5th book in a series.
Well, yeah.
He's got several.
Okay. Yes. Let me try again. I'm not.
No, that's okay. I told you guys, I'm putting you guys on the spot. I'm going to ask you your favorite book.
So he's probably very much on the forefront of fantasy at the moment. No, not romantasy, which is I think its own genre
category.
Yeah. But just straight up fantasy, he's probably on the forefront of it. He has a number of different series where they're kind of connected. It's what they call the Cosmere. So they take place on their own planets, but the universe as a whole is connected. And so you have a lot of Easter eggs. And it gets really fun when you actually do get into it and you can say, wait a second, I think I know that character from over here, and vice versa. So anybody that is a big fan of world building would really enjoy Brandon Sanderson. And I always recommend maybe starting with his Mistborn series.
Okay.
The Final Empire being the first one. But yeah, I've just been, like I said, I've just been on a reread at the moment. So I'm not really experiencing too much new material.
Okay.
I see it and I say, oh, I should add that to my list as it goes across my desk. And then off it goes to somebody.
Oh, yeah. It's like so many things I put on hold, and then they come and I'm like, wait, why did I want this? Yeah. What is it about? And then you're, That
happens to me. The struggle is real. There's so many books out there. So little time to read. So many books. I don't know what I'm saying, but
so
you
many
get
books,
what
so
I'm
little
saying.
time.
Yes, exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what I meant. Anything else you guys want to add that I maybe haven't asked, just about the libraries or anything else you want people to know?
What was your favorite book this year so far?
Oh.
Ooh.
I mean, I loved The Women.
Okay.
I really liked Good Material by Dolly Alderton. It was really good. It was about a man in his 30s going through a breakup, and it was told from his perspective, and he's like not a very likable character, I'll say that. But then at the end of the book, you get the perspective from the female that broke up with him, and it was just really was really funny. It was like one of those books I kept seeing the cover everywhere. I'm like, am I really gonna like this? But I felt like it was written by I'm 36. I think the author is about the same age. It was written by like someone in their mid-30s, like for someone in their mid-30s. I just felt like it was very modern and current and relatable to people who maybe go through breakups in their mid-30s, when it's a very interesting time when some are having kids, some are single, and I really liked that book a lot. And I really loved The Women. I love all Kristin Hannah books mostly, so those are probably my favorites so far.
Okay.
I liked The Guncle Abroad. The Guncle is a really funny book. The first one, this one was the sequel, but The Guncle was really, really funny, and then the sequel was really good too, so I loved that.
I think when you asked earlier, do you cry easily or laugh easily? I think I cry more than I laugh. I think laughing is harder to get me. Humor is really hard to pull off.
It is. It's very hard. And The Guncle, I actually cried and laughed out loud because it's about grief. Like, really, the underlying theme is grief, and it's about loss and like losing people in your life. It's about a gunkle, so a gay uncle who takes care of his best friend and his brother's kids after she passes away. So it has a very serious like theme, and if you've ever lost someone that you love, you'll really relate to it. But it's also like laugh out loud funny in the way that he speaks to his niece and nephew who are younger, and then they grow up in the second one, and it's so good. So you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll do both.
Oh, I love it. I'm an easy crier, and I guess I don't cry for books. But
Well, thank you guys so much. We really appreciate it, and thank you for doing what you do. And we love the library system. So Maricopa County Library District, go get your library cards and read this summer.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks
and thanks
so
for
much.
spreading the message of libraries.
Of course. Thank you guys.